So, Mossberg has done it again. They've gone and cooked up another one of those firearms. That's not legally a shotgun, but functionally it's a shotgun, and they're calling it the 990 Aftershock. Now, if you're a fan of things that seemingly defy government logic, if there is such a thing, you probably remember the original Shockwave. It was a fantastic little pump action gun that managed to circumvent the NFA because it was just long enough and just not a shotgun enough to be perfectly legal. It was a massive hit, and for good reason. It's always fun to watch a company find a loophole that makes a short-barreled firearm or short-barreled 12-gauge just a Title I firearm. As consumers, we're never satisfied, and we wanted more. We wanted a semi-auto version. Now, Remington did give us the TAC-13, but, well, Remington, they've had their issues. Getting a TAC-13 now is quite difficult, and they are quite expensive. So we all just kind of waited, and waited, and waited. It's got to be like 6 years now, maybe longer since the Shockwave came out, but Mossberg has finally delivered. But they just didn't slap a pistol grip on a 940 and call it a day. Nope, that would have been too easy, or, well, too hard. The 940's gas system is all tied up with the stock, which is a bit of a problem when you're building a stockless gun with just a bird's head style pistol grip. So, to address that, they cooked up an entirely new gas system, and they hid it under the Handguard. They also called it the 990 because it's Frankenstein's monster of a gun with parts inspired by both the 590 and the 940. So the good news is that it feels a lot like a 940, with the same oversized controls that are perfect for ham-fisted goons like me. Plus, it can use stocks and pistol grips from the 500/590 series. This means if you're brave enough or willing enough to go through the NFA process, you can slap a stock on this little monster and have a very short, very sweet, short-barreled shotgun. Or, if you're not into paperwork, Mossberg is also making an 18.75-inch version that you can put a stock on without Uncle Sam giving you a side-eye. The 990 Aftershock is super short. It has a 14.75-inch barrel and an overall length of just over 27 inches. It's just long enough not to be in any other weapon, which is any kind of firearm like this that is less than 26 inches long, because the ATF classifies that as concealable. So you don't need a gym membership to wield it, since it only weighs 6 pounds, which is quite nice, but you will need a gym membership to shoot it, but we'll get a little more into that later. So the grip on the 990 is a new take on the original Raptor grip. It's still that bird's head grip design, but it's a bit thinner and has a nice rubberized palm pad. It's a noticeable improvement over the original and a grip I really like and hope Mossberg makes available for other shotguns or firearms. The big, beautiful controls from the 940 Tactical are all here. This includes a massive charging handle and a just as equally massive bolt release, so you can really reload this gun and run it hard without fidgeting for controls like a lot of modern shotguns have. Now, this has been kind of a new development with shotguns and I guess firearms now, and it's one the industry's really needed. Have you ever fired a Benelli M4? The controls look like they're made for ants. Now, Mossberg also kept some of the 940's little touches, like the loading port. It's beveled, so it won't take a DNA sample every time you try to feed the gun. You can also, I guess, theoretically conduct a violin load, although I guess I should have tried that during this review. It does seem difficult. Either way, the bigger loading port makes it easier to load those bulky 12-gauge shells into your gun with. Oddly enough, Mossberg kept the 590 style optics mounting system. They just drilled and tap it. You throw a rail or throw an optics mount, and then throw your red dot on and go. They didn't go for the fancy integrated cuts into the receiver that allowed you to mount a shield RMSC patterned footprint. So the big question is why? So one easy guess is that actually changes the engineering of the shotgun according to Mossberg. Like, even when they did the 940, they had to change a few things to make that work reliably. Maybe it's something to do with the weight. I'm not quite sure, and I didn't dig too into it. I just asked some real basic questions. That's one reason. My guess, what I feel, is they don't want to encourage people to get a kind of a cheek weld with the gun and to aim it high in front of their face, because that might result in a trip to the dentist. And Mossberg doesn't want to be responsible for that. So let's talk about the Handguard. It is seemingly compatible with 940 grips. I haven't had a chance to throw a 940 Handguard on here, but Vang Comp actually did a short-barreled shotgun version of the 990, and it has the 940 SPX Handguard on it, so it does seem like there's some cross-compatibility. With the grip we get, or I'm sorry, the Handguard we get from Mossberg, you do get that old strap, just like the Shockwave. And the same problems I had with the Shockwave strap, I have with the 990s. So the bolts that hold the strap onto the Handguard are just a little too eager to introduce themselves to your hand. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a minor annoyance that you think they'd have had fixed by now. Also, there's no M-lock slots on the Handguard, which is an odd one. Seriously, Mossberg, it's 2025. If I really wanted to be picky, I wanted Mossberg to release the 990 with the new 940 Handguard. But I'm betting they're going to do a 990 SPX, probably at SHOT Show, that integrates that new Handguard. As you'd expect, the safety is that standard tank style, but it looks like Mossberg went with the Gen 2 design of that we've been seeing pop up on a lot of their guns. It's bigger, it's easier to access, and it's just overall nicer. Ergonomically, I found the 990 Aftershock to be very nice. It's well thought out. It's easy to wield. It has a lot of features that I would have, probably paid the aftermarket to install, and it comes from the factory that way. So there's a few things like, honestly, you just gotta, the strap is the real downside. My hand was bleeding from it. It has only just healed now. With that in mind, just kind of avoid either putting your hand too close to the rear or front of the strap, even though it's really easy for your hand to drift forward and to run into those bolts. Just keep that in mind. With that minor annoyance out of the way, I do think the 990 Aftershock is surprisingly ergonomic for a 12 gauge firearm. As a big fan of shotguns and I guess firearms, I'm a bit cautious when it comes to short-barreled 12 gauge semi-auto systems. Shotguns in particular seem to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Suspect when it comes to reliability with a short barrel and a gas-operated system. I can't really say why, but I'm betting that's why this barrel is 14.75 inches long instead of 14 inches long. I have fired a total of 505 rounds through this gun. The odd number is because I put some more expensive buckshot through it to see how it patterned. But that is 250 rounds of birdshot and 250 rounds of buckshot. Both were the cheapest of each I could get. And the buckshot was some Greek Lambo stuff I got on PSA a while back. The birdshot was that normal estate 12 gauge, like number 7.5 or something. It's just the cheapest Walmart stuff I could find. I will say, with great confidence, is that it eats everything you feed it, except for mini shells. A lot of people ask about mini shells. Mini shells are a novelty. They're not for serious use, and they don't really work in semi-auto shotguns. The only way you could get mini shells to work in a semi-auto shotgun is to specifically design a mini shell fed semi-auto shotgun, which would be kind of silly. So mini shells are still mostly useless. In terms of reliability, so the lightest round I fired was the Federal Flight Control, which is a reduced recoil 12 gauge tactical load, and it's moving at, according to the box, 1145 feet per second. That cycled with no problem. Usually the lighter you get with these loads, you can run into reliability issues with some guns, but that's not a problem with the Aftershock. It seems to run with everything pretty fine. So let's talk about recoil since we're on that subject. The majority of the buckshot I fired was 2.75 inch buckshot. It was a double-aught load with 9 pellets, and it was moving at 1,350 feet per second. So it's not necessarily reduced recoil, but it's not no 1,600 feet per second craziness. Now, as you'd expect, a stockless 12 gauge has a fair bit of recoil, but the 990 Aftershock has a lot less than the Shockwave. I found it to be much easier to handle than the standard Shockwave and a lot easier to shoot fast, as you'd also imagine from a semi-auto system. Now, it's also smart to keep in mind that I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall and I'm about 300 pounds. I'm a big fella. In southern terms, I would be called a hoss. But as a big guy, I can handle this gun a lot easier than most. That weight really helps me. I'm also fairly strong, not to brag, but I do judo and I have great grip strength. So the Aftershock is not an egalitarian weapon. It is not an equal opportunity firearm. It's not for everyone. You really do need good grip strength, good upper body strength, and a proper push-pull recoil mitigation technique to really control this gun. Now, anyone can fire this gun and have fun and plink with it and enjoy it, but if you want to use this gun in a serious defensive role, you need to be strong enough to handle it, and a lot of people probably aren't going to be strong enough to handle it, which is fine. And when I say strong enough to handle it, I specifically mean being able to fire it quickly and accurately in a defensive situation. The 990 Aftershock could be a capable defensive firearm for the right person who is willing to train and learn how to handle this gun. With that in mind, it really works best inside of a specific niche, that niche being extreme close quarters. Now that could be a tight office, a camper, defending a dumpster, or inside a small home or a small apartment. That's where it's going to work. In that situation, it's a very maneuverable and incredibly powerful weapon. Additionally, I've heard of people liking these little guns as camp guns, and I can get behind that. It can kill anything in North America with ease, from snakes to bears. Just pick the right ammo for the job, and you'll be well suited with this kind of compact powerhouse. Now, outside of that, niche of extreme close quarters, a stock shotgun is going to serve you better. It offers more control, more stability, and allows for a greater margin of error with your recoil mitigation techniques. If you're inside like a normal sized home, the Aftershock isn't going to be the best choice. Now, inside of close quarters combat, you have a potent, easy to carry, and easy to wield weapon that can maneuver very well in close quarters. Partner that with a dedicated low recoil buckshot load, and you'll have a hand cannon. As always, birdshot's not made for self-defense, and don't use it unless you're defending yourself from birds. The Aftershock is priced at about $1,000, so it's not cheap, and you can get into a proper, high-quality tactical semi-auto shotgun for that kind of money. The Aftershock has less recoil than the Shockwave, shoots faster, and maintains the ergonomics of the 940, which does make it a very appealing package. If you're already a fan of guns like the Shockwave, like me, this seems to be kind of a natural progression. If you really like shooting the TAC-14 or the Shockwave, you're really going to love the Aftershock. If you didn't like those guns, this could be a slightly better option, but ultimately it wouldn't be one I suggest for you until they make a 20 gauge version. Now, this could be an effective defensive weapon if you're willing to train with it and pair it with the proper ammo. That's fine. But it's also one hell of a fun range toy. For me, it's probably just going to remain a range toy until January. Once the stamps become free and we can file, I'm going to have to, probably wait 6 months behind all of you degens. But I'm going to make this a short-barreled shotgun. I'll probably put some kind of silly folding stock on it just to be fun. But that's my plan for the Aftershock. What's yours? Are you going to leave it as a pistol grip only firearm? Are you going to use it defensively? Is it a range toy? Let me know what you guys think below. And I really appreciate everyone watching. Have a great night. Have a great weekend.